Disclaimer. Remember, the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and do not reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Hey, Kimmie.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, we are back.
Yep.
And we have a great episode today. So I have a quick question for you.
Okay, awesome. I'm ready.
All right. So how does a 34-year-old former hip-hop artist and housing counselor go from organizing Queens tenants against evictions to taking the reins as mayor of America's largest city?
Fantastic question. And so, everyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Zohran Mamdani, mayor of New York City. I had no idea he had an underground or indie is what they call it, rap career. So that was something new that I learned right before we jumped on here.
Oh, and you know what? I have to tell you, I listened to just like little clips of it and I was like, oh, I like this beat. This is a bumping beat, you know?
Yeah, his rap name was what? Cardamom?
Cardamom, yeah. Mr. Cardamon and Young Cardamon. I think he used both of those.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So we're talking about, Mayor Mamdani. He's been in the news a lot. Up to, during his run for office, leading up to the election. And now that he's been elected, people are just flabbergasted that he is working for the citizens of New York City. Like, that's literally what he's doing. That's all he's doing. He's working for the citizens of New York City. And I feel like we have gone so far astray that something like that appears to be quote unquote radical.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to do two things before we get into it. I wanted to just go over some brief facts that I know about him, in addition to the rap career.
The hip hop being in the house.
Exactly. That we just learned about. So a couple of things. He's the city's youngest mayor in over a century, or became the city's youngest mayor in over a century at age 34. He was born in, how do you say it? Is it Kampala? How do you say that? Kampala?
I think it's Kampala.
Kampala, Uganda. He immigrated to the country at 7, so he's an immigrant, right?
He's an immigrant, yes.
He majored in Africana studies. And he was a member of the New York State Assembly in 2020, representing Queens, neighborhood of Astoria. And he focused there while he was in that role or in that position on tenants' rights, housing justice, and public transit. And his campaign focused on rent freezes, universal child care, fair free transit as some of the few things that he focused on. So that's a little bit about him. I don't know if you wanted to add a couple of things.
I just wanted to add, to say something that I thought was really just shocking. When you said that, he was born when I believe I was a sophomore in college.
Girl.
And so just hearing,
he was born in 91.
I know, 91. Remember 91?
Girl.
I remember 91. And I'm just like, how? I'm like, so we have people who are born when I was a grown adult who are now leading
the largest city.
Like we have somebody who's born leading the largest city in the country. I'm shocked. I just find that really just unbelievable. And not trying to say that we're old or anything. I'm just trying to put that into perspective.
We are women of a certain age.
Exactly. And the other thing is that his mother was is, I believe, a filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that is interesting. So he comes from a creative family,
Yeah. And before we get into, where you started with the question so far as how he got there, I kind of want to talk about the definition of government. Like, I just want to provide a very broad definition of what government means, right?
Yeah.
And I just went to the Webster's dictionary, and government, the definition, I'm going to read it, is a system or organization of people that hold the authority to make and enforce laws, manage resources, provide public services for a country, state, or community. It functions as the central steering mechanism to maintain order, protect rights, and direct social and economic policies. Okay. Government only functions, and this is what I added. What I added was government only functions upon the contributions of its people, i.e., the taxes that we pay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so I wanted to start there because I just really think that that's all he's doing.
I think that's really important. And I also think talking about the ideology behind the different types of government, I think is really important. And so one of the things that I looked up, because he identifies as, or he is a democratic socialist. And to be quite honest, I was not really aware of what a democratic socialist entailed. And so I said, I bet other people are confused and not as knowledgeable as well. So let me show you what I came up with. So democratic socialist believes that the economy should be run democratically to serve public needs rather than private profit. And this shift must happen through existing democratic institutions like elections, legislation, free speech, never through authoritarianism or total political control. And the other part that I think is interesting is thinking about what is the aim of democratic socialism. And so it's advocating for a socialized economy alongside a multi-party representative democracy. So that is where you hear the democratic socialists come in. And also the aim is to dismantle or heavily restrict private capital through democratic processes, ensuring public ownership or worker control over major industries like healthcare, housing, and energy, while preserving individual civil liberties. And the interesting thing, and I just want to take a second to say this, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that will say, oh, Mamdani, socialism and communism. And we are not talking about communism, and we are talking about a very specific type of socialist belief. We are talking about democratic socialism. And the difference is, and I think this is really interesting, well, there are a lot of different differences between all three of those. Communism is where the government pretty much owns everything. You don't have any individual people owning anything at all. The other part is socialism. People can own things differently. So it's really about the government providing all of the social services for people. And you can have, depending on the type of socialism you have, you can have some individual people owning things. But democratic socialism is really about the democratic process moving away from capitalism, but also having individual rights. Whereas communism is all about no one owning anything. Government just basically not
having any rights.
Yeah. And we talk about communism. I mean, we've seen what communism has done in different places. We've seen what individual people having so much power and control, we've seen that happen, and so
it's interesting to me because, the people who want to proclaim that that's what is going on in New York City is so strange to me, because it's literally what our current administration is doing. Our current administration is attempting to centralize all of the wealth and control in that executive office. Like, that's literally what that office is trying to do. And it's so crazy to me that so many people behave in this sort of cultish way, and that they have these blinders that they can't see that that's what's going on in the White House. Like, that is exactly what's going on, as opposed to what Mamdani is doing is, I think it's multi-layered.
Yeah.
It's a threat to that, right? It's a threat to what the White House is trying to do. It's also a threat to establishment politics.
Exactly.
It's a threat to establishment politics, in that we get a lot of excuses as to why we can't do this and why we can't do that, right? And I think what he's doing in New York City is creating a blueprint that may need to be tweaked depending upon the size of the economy. And what people say is that what he's doing works with a government that has a large tax base and budget resources. Because what the reason that's always provided is that doing what he's doing, the universal child care, the rent freezes, and all the other things that he's doing, is that it could become an extreme tax and budgetary strain on maybe smaller economies.
Right.
Okay. You know, the other reason is that his policies require massive tax increases on high income earners. And I know that's something that he's been talking about, right? That high income earners and wealthy should pay their fair share for the most part. And his policies require luxury properties, right? In most cities, they proclaim most cities and states lack New York City's deep concentration of high net worth individuals and corporate headquarters. So the argument is that those policies can create budget deficits in other places. Now, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how accurate that is, but that's the reason that, now that's what people are saying. Before, it's, it's just, oh yeah, we just can't do that. We have to take baby steps. And so in his first year, however long it's been, he has delivered on multiple of his promises.
Oh, and interestingly, one of the things that I just read is that he is getting rid of red tape for small businesses. For example, if you're a small business owner in New York, you couldn't just get one license to cover everything that you were doing. You had to get multiple licenses. Like maybe you were selling frozen goods. If you're selling frozen goods like ice cream, you need a license for that. And if you're selling hot dogs, you need a license because it's hot, because the cold food you need it. So in other words, he's like, no, you need just one license. So he's getting rid of some of the perceived red tape and bureaucracy so that people can have more energy to put in and to grow their small businesses. And that sounds very Republican, because they're always talking about, oh, we're getting rid of regulations. We're getting rid of regulations. Yeah. And so he is trying to do this. And the same people who are also saying, oh, we're getting rid of regulations, they're also saying, oh, he's a communist. And just like you mentioned, I mean, the current administration, the Trump administration, I will say it.
I try not to say his name.
Well, yeah. But like, for example, when we think about, he's trying to consolidate power, which is exactly what communists do.
Exactly.
The authoritarian style of government. And you know how we know this? Think about all of the executive orders that he put out. And all of these executive orders, he put them out, and people just said, okay, we've got to do this. Now that people are actually suing and they're actually coming through the court system, those things are being overturned. And so, and they're being overturned. Why? Because either he didn't have the authority to do it, or it goes against the Constitution, it goes against civil rights. And so when we talk about it, it's not just cut and dry. You can't just say that what Mamdani is doing is communism. And you can't just say, oh, socialism. You can't just say, oh, socialism is a bad thing, or, oh, socialism is a good thing. You have to look at what's happening. Like what's happening? What are the changes that are happening? I love that he's focusing on childcare. I love that he is focusing on making life more affordable, looking at rent freezes. And I realize that some of these things are going to make people nervous,
Yeah. And to me, like I said, I think it's making the people nervous that should be nervous. And I want to kind of come back to a point that you made about his platform as it relates to businesses, and how some could argue that it's similar to the Republican platform in deregulation. But I think there's a difference there. I don't know the complete details of what red tape he's actually removing, but I think it's important for us to know which red tape he's actually removing, right? We're not talking about downsizing the CDC to make sure that we know what food is contaminated or not.
Yeah. Or we don't know not to eat lettuce, I mean,
because I kind of feel like the deregulation that is a part of the Republican platform a lot of times ends up in businesses being able to
harm others and discriminate.
harm others, discriminate,
hurt
and
the environment.
abuse their constituents or their consumers, right? For the benefit of being able to increase their bottom line. So that's why I kind of wanted to say, to me, there still is a difference.
So I'm glad you said that, Kimmie, because my whole thought is that, like, the Republicans are talking about reducing red tape. And you're absolutely right. I think what you're saying is looking beyond the, okay, we want to reduce red tape and see exactly what that reduction would entail. And so you're right, because Mamdani is talking about, okay, let's reduce the red tape so that these small businesses can actually not have to sit and wonder, okay, do I have the right licenses for this? If you have a business license, there are things that you have to go through to show that you know about safety, you know about all of these different codes and all of these different things. You shouldn't have to do that multiple times. That doesn't increase the safety of consumers. Whereas with the Republican administration and red tape that they want to do, that they want to cut, for example, being able to drill in wetlands, that is directly hurting the environment. And we know that when you hurt the environment, we are all in this very eloquent food chain. So when you hurt the environment, the ecosystem, absolutely. When you hurt the environment, we eventually get harmed. So I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that.
And this is the other question that I had. So Mamdani has dominated the headlines regarding his platform and the policies that he wants to put in place. Why do you think that is? Do you think that there really aren't any other mayors? I guess we can talk about mayors, right? Because, he's a mayor, so we can kind of make sure we're comparing apples to apples, right? Is there not anyone else doing the same thing?
I think that if he did not identify as being a democratic socialist, I think if he said, hey, I'm just a member of the Democratic Party and these are the things I want to do, I don't think that people would be as up in arms and as offended by him as they are now. I think the fact that people hear socialism makes, for some reason, people want to make the leap from socialism to communism.
And it's like, it's two different. First of all, even if you want to think from a very basic level, it's two different words. How can it be the same thing?
It's two different words. It's the same thing. They don't mean the same thing.
They're not the same thing. And I wonder by him characterizing or identifying or that he is a part of this movement, right? Or this type of governing. I wonder, do you think he would have won or not? Because he ran on that platform that he's a democratic socialist. I tend to feel like, I think a lot of Democrats, and I haven't done any sort of empirical research, right, to see. I'm just going off of feeling and how I feel people, and how people talk in my environment. And I think a lot of Democrats, especially African Americans, maybe young Democrats, are kind of apathetic to the Democratic establishment. I think a lot of people have legitimate beef with the Democratic establishment and not, going far enough.
Yeah. And also, what do we have? We have, and I want to be clear with this, okay? Because I don't want people to say that I'm making an ageist comment. The comment that I'm making is that in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, what happens is that people get in office and that becomes their profession. And as part of their profession, they stay in the office forever and ever. And so part of the challenge, I think, with the Democrats is that we don't have a mechanism where new blood, new energy, new ideas will come into the party. And I think Mamdani, being 34, born when I was, what was I taking? I was taking psychology, my third semester of psychology.
It's 91. I was still in high school. So let's see, I graduated in 93. So I would have been in the 10th grade.
You were in 10th grade, and 91, I was a sophomore.
You were a sophomore? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I graduated in 90 and entered college in 90.
90, yeah.
So I would have been in 91. No, you know what? I take that back. In 91, depending on the month he was born.
Right. You were
Sophomore
either finishing up your first year.
or freshman or moving into my sophomore year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it sounds more dramatic to say I was let's see.
What, sophomore?
Yeah, I was a sophomore. I'll just say that. I'm not gonna look up his date of birth. I'm just gonna say that. But
Right.
yeah, I think, I mean, and going back to what you were saying, you were asking about the Democrats. I think that the Democrats have had the challenge, like I said, of not having new ideas come in and being afraid to push the envelope.
Because that's what the Republicans have done. That's why who we have in the White House is in the White House.
Exactly.
They pushed the envelope on that side.
They pushed it. They moved it. They have moved it all the way. I mean,
and now the establishment, they're towing the line.
Right.
For that foolishness.
Yeah. They're going along with it.
But as opposed to in the Democratic Party, the establishment is fighting against progression and change. Like they're fighting against it. And I think that has really been the issue. And I think that's why he was successful in his run, because that's what people are looking for. And our party, I think that's what people are looking for.
And I think the difference because some people have compared him to Trump. Okay, some people have said that, Trump was this outsider who came in and was going to shake things up and was going to get rid of the swamp. And my thought is, no, you can't. Those are apples and oranges.
Absolutely.
Apples and oranges, because Mamdani, unlike Trump, Mamdani held office previously. Unlike Trump, Mamdani came from a family, I believe his father was a theorist, and his father had written about politics and about different political things. So unlike Trump, Mamdani actually came in with having a background of understanding something about how government works. And how politics works. Now, he was a hip hop star, and I will tell you, hip hop stars, they speak about the world, and because they're artists, they speak about the world in a way to get people to really listen. And so I think that is fabulous and empowering.
Yeah. I was very surprised to read that's that he has his and well, I guess no, I won't say I'm not surprised, because just seeing how he interacts in the city and how he relates, I thought I just figured that he was a hip hop head, to be honest. Like, I really thought that he was a hip hop head, but I just didn't know that he was an actual indie artist, right? So I think it's interesting. So I shouldn't say I'm surprised to find that out. I just didn't know it. And so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that actually does make sense. But I kind of want to, before we run out of time, I kind of want to talk about some of the other folks that are out there that I feel like are, in fact, leading the charge. And I want to know why they haven't really gotten the fanfare that Mamdani has. And maybe the fanfare is because New York City is New York City, right? It's bigger. So the first person...
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, tell me the people, and because I have an idea in my head. I have an idea.
Okay. So Brandon Scott, mayor of Baltimore.
Okay.
He is in the headlines, right? I hear and read things, fantastic things about him and what he's trying to do in Baltimore and what he has done for the city of Baltimore, namely as it relates to crime and violence prevention and things like that. So I know he's doing really well in that regard. So yeah, that's what I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference. And then of course we've got AOC, but she's gotten a pretty big fanfare. But there's some other,
and Jasmine, I would say Jasmine Crockett.
And Jasmine Crockett, yeah.
But this is where I thought you were going, and this is why I said, okay. I have an idea. I wasn't necessarily thinking about Brandon Scott, but I can see that now. But what I was going to say about like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and that group of women, what were they called? The Squad? I think they called them the Squad, because Ileana Omar was one of them, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know they had a name.
Yeah, they were called, I believe they were called the Squad. And I think because they were bold and just very much in your face, I think we have some gender
for sure.
coming in terms of what does it look like when a woman steps up and says, no, you're not going to treat me like that, And so I think that the Squad was seen as this loud, brash group of women who were, I'm going to say it again, emasculating and trying to be men. That's the perception. And so I think Mamdani being male, I think that he is viewed differently.
It's more palatable.
Yes, it's absolutely more palatable for people who would cringe seeing women doing certain things. So I think there's some genderedness going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I think we talked about it in a prior episode, but it's par for the course. It is definitely par for the course, but I'm happy to see that they are standing their ground, that they're standing 10 toes down in what they believe in. And, we could spend a whole another 30 minutes, an hour talking about gender and masculinity and femininity. We have both. Like we have both. Yeah. So what are we talking about here? Yeah. We have testosterone and estrogen. I mean, it's what are we talking about? But anyway, we're already at minute 27 and we can't even broach that topic. We can't get deep on that one.
I know, because then we'd be stuck and we'd have a 3-hour podcast and nobody wants to listen to that.
No, nobody wants to listen to us for 3 hours.
But you know what people want to know? Kimmie.
Yeah, what are we still trying to figure out today?
Where is Mitch McConnell?
Where is Carmen Sandiego, aka Mitch McConnell?
I mean, we know where Mamdani is, right?
Yes.
Where is Mitch McConnell?
This is sad.
I would never have guessed that we would be this length of time without knowing where Mitch McConnell is.
And what's the governor? Why is the governor like? I've heard other people talk about what Bashir is his name. Some people are trying to say why he hasn't done what he could. I don't understand. I don't understand why he's not pushing the envelope. And see, this is the thing that I think people have an issue with establishment Democrats, because they keep playing by the rules and they're not playing by the rules.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I don't know if there's some other kind of game plan that's associated with not really putting them on the spot, going to the doggone hospital and saying, "Let me see him." Like why can't he do that?
Yeah, and first step. All these people who are saying, I had a 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell. Okay, tell me about that. Let's have a conversation with them. Okay, if you don't want to go, because I know there's HIPAA and I know privacy, and I want to be clear. Let me just be clear about this, okay?
Yeah.
I understand the desire for families to have privacy when someone is in the hospital. I absolutely understand that, and I value that. And he is a public figure who is representing.
Yeah.
He has people who he is representing. So right now, they are not being represented. And as if I happen to be one of his constituents, I would want to know, where's Mitch McConnell? Is he okay?
We're not even saying, hey, disclose the actual medical status, or the medical details.
No.
Like, can he do his job or no?
Can he do his job? That's right. Can he do his job? Because I guarantee you, if I ended up in the hospital, the first thing that my job is going to say is, "Oh, I hope Nicki is doing okay." And the second thing they're going to say is can she do her job?
Exactly.
If she can't do her job because of the nature of her job, we're going to have to find someone who can do her job in the interim. So if he is, if he's taking a spa day, okay, people need representation.
Yeah, exactly.
And so where's Mitch McConnell?
Where is Mitch McConnell? We're going to keep asking that question until we get an answer. All right, Nicki, we're going to wrap that up. And I guess we just want everyone to keep their ears and eyes open and maintain connection and understanding with what's going on in their representative government, and research the topic even further. Let us know what you think. And in particular, we want you to, before we say the like, subscribe, and comment, we have to remember to stay hydrated and moisturized. Yes. I think it's moisturized and unbothered. And unbothered. Yes, those are the things. Those are the things. Yeah. And of course, we also want you to like, subscribe, and throw a few comments our way. Remember, we are trying to build our base. The more people we get to listen to us,
the more we can then go and investigate additional topics and just get really excited about it, because we're very excited to do the podcast.
We are.
We're very excited to connect with you. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Well, on that note, until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. So we want to get deep with you. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe buttons. See you soon.